This is Anand Sharma from CXOTV.news, your online platform for bringing CXOs together. We have been running this series called CEO Talks, and we'll bring yet another session today with none other than the CEO of Fareportal, Mr. Werner Georg Kunz-Cho. So Werner, first of all, welcome on the show, and I'm glad to host you today.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm pleased to be part of this interview.
Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, not sure which part of the world you are, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And the whole idea behind this chat series is to interview a few leaders from the industry so that we can learn from their lessons and they can share their wisdom with us for our growth and momentum. So without much ado, I'm moving on to my salvos of questions. So Werner, the pandemic severely impacted travel and tourism globally, causing the industry a loss of almost 5 trillion US dollars. Newer variants of the virus are still causing disruptions. How is the travel industry recovering from the crisis?
Yes, indeed, the pandemic has shocked the travel industry, and not only the travel industry, the entire world in a significant manner. And being in the travel industry, it happened so sudden that there was no time to prepare at any time, and we just had to pivot very, very quickly to make adjustments which were painful for the most part, simply because we had to reduce the workforce, we had to adjust cost levels to be aligned with the business that was there. And as you aptly pointed out, the sales volume caved in to up to 7% if you compare it to 2019, literally over. So how does the travel industry recover in 2022? In 2021 was actually a gradual recovery, and which was very nice to see. It wasn't the hockey stick that everybody expected to. The pent-up demand certainly is still there, but there's still some degree of apprehension to travel to some certain parts in the world. In the United States, which is our main market, the domestic travel has recovered very well. And currently we are about at 85 to 90% of where it was in 2019.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, that is a good development, but we have to sort of look at it in two sectors. You have the corporate travel, and then you have the leisure travel. And the leisure travel recovered much, much faster than the corporate travel. The corporate travel is still sort of limping behind. And I think the new normal for corporate travel is yet to emerge. It's not quite clear what that will look like in a couple of years from now, but the leisure travel has recovered very, very nicely.
I can understand, because people just wanted to get out of their places and do some leisure travel. So yeah, that's quite able to relate. So what are the changes you see in the customer behavior apart from this corporate and leisure travel brought about over the last 2 years in terms of traveling and holidaying?
I think the customer behavior has changed, or shall I say the customer expectations have changed. Okay. Because the pandemic has released an avalanche of flight cancellations, of refunds, airlines not being able to make refunds, so they extended credits. Then people, to some degree, redeemed the credits, but still were insisting on the refunds. So the airlines have become far more flexible the way they treated all their restricted fares. And the consumers have now adopted to that flexibility the airlines have offered, and they now expect that when they book a ticket, that they have more flexibility than they had before. So the airlines have made already adjustments to that by offering different types of fares. So traditionally, A restricted fare was either partially refundable or not refundable at all. And now they're offering a certain degree of restriction on one hand, and then a fully refundable ticket on the other hand. And the difference between the two is very small, which used to be very big. So the airlines have noticed that they have to offer flexibilities for customers to travel, not only in the corporate sector, but also in the leisure sector, which was really not prevalent pre-pandemic.
Sure, sure. Makes sense. So you have been associated with the travel industry since the beginning of your career, Werner. How do you
Yes.
see your professional journey in comparison to the changing business dynamics and industry trends over the years?
Well, when I started my career in the travel space, it was very manual, to say the least. There was little, I mean, it was little technology that pertaining to reservations, to ticket issuance, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of it was still handwritten tickets. Then there were computerized tickets where they were printed with the
Yeah,
matrix printer, which is, I haven't
yeah,
seen one
yeah.
in ages. But now with the internet, technology has skyrocketed as a requirement for being successful in the travel industry on an e-commerce platform.
Mhm.
And you have to have an e-commerce platform to compete in the travel industry.
True.
The brick and mortar sector has shrunk dramatically, and the sort of called mom and pop shops have diminished in large numbers. So the technology requirement is immense for an e-commerce travel platform to function. So there is a huge leap of technology that we have. We have hundreds of engineers in our team who are just working on the website, the way travel is presented, the way it's sold, the way it is adjusted, the way it's changed, et cetera, et cetera. Then on the communication side, everything is voice over technology. On the telephony side, which was unheard of before. Then on the chat side, a lot of newer customers, they want to chat. They don't want to be on a phone. They just want to chat.
Sure.
And the millennials, they have grown up with computers. They have grown up by chatting. And so we need to adopt these types of new requirements and adapt to new technologies literally on a daily basis. So a huge technology leap forward, which is actually very good because we can handle a much bigger volume with a lot less than what have been possible at the beginning of my career.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's great insight, Werner. Tell us more about Fareportal and how does it add value to the travel industry and customer expectations?
Well, Fareportal is sort of an operating entity that drives the two main consumer-facing travel brands, which is Cheapo Air and One Travel. So these two brands are primarily focused on air travel. We are sort of considering ourselves as the extension of the airlines to bring forth an array of airline flight options to our consumers. So we have over 500 airlines in our portfolio worldwide, and we can mix and match any airline from anywhere to anywhere throughout the world. So what we can offer to our customers is an array of flight options from a price perspective, from an elapsed time, meaning travel time perspective, and from a airline perspective, which is very appealing to consumers. They have a market overview of what is out there. In a different way than if you, let's say you go to a supplier directly, you only see supplier's content. Whereas if you come to an OTA like us, then you see all the airlines and the airlines mixed. So we can mix a legacy carrier with a low-cost carrier. And we have our own proprietary technology where we create our itineraries to either match a price point or an elapsed time point, or from a departure and arrival perspective, what is most suitable for a customer to select from. So we want to inform or present to our customers enough information for them to make an educated choice.
Sure, sure. So that's a great, I think, benefit for customer, and that's why they must be coming, flocking to your Fareportal site or app to avail the benefits. So, what has been the effect of the pandemic on Fareportal? What are the strategies which kept you floating through the crisis? Because travel industry was almost shutting doors, right?
That's correct. The travel industry was literally turned upside down.
Yeah.
And it was very important for us to quickly pivot and learn how to do more with less. What I mean by that is we have to invest fairly substantially in technology. And what I mean by that, in process automation. And I think what we have learned is that we need to have a vehicle, an operational vehicle that can scale very quickly up and down. So we have to create an organization that has an elasticity that can adjust to any market condition very quickly without impacting the quality of service that we provide to our customers.
Sure.
So process automation. And we have millions of processes at the back end when it comes to an airline ticket, which is a complex thing altogether. So we need to exchanges, for instance, we need to automate exchanges. If a customer books a flight, then wants to change a flight to a different date or a different destination at a different price category, et cetera, et cetera. We do it still to a degree manually, but we have learned over the pandemic that we can actually automate this, and we have greatly succeeded in doing so. So we can have the elasticity in service our customers for complex itineraries pretty much at our fingertip now. So we have that flexibility to expand in any which direction that we need to, because ultimately we don't control the market, but we control our own business. And so how our own business fits in the overall market, we need to be able that we have the highest degree of flexibility and elasticity to adjust to market conditions very quickly.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you so much, Werner. Please tell us about your global and India footprint, and how does India and APAC contribute to your global business?
Well, in India, of course, we have, excuse me, a fairly large operational center in Gurgaon and in Pune.
Okay.
Gurgaon is the largest, Pune is the second largest, but from a global perspective, these are the two largest concentrations of operational centers that we have. In Gurgaon, we're accommodating software development, technology, IT infrastructure, cybersecurity, then finances, financial audits, fintech development as a whole, and then of course the contact center, which serves our customer on a 24/7 basis. In Pune, we are much more focusing on the contact center component than on the technology component. And as you know, one of our unique differentiator in market is our contact center, because it's almost a bit counterintuitive for an e-commerce company to post our telephone number on every single web page.
Absolutely.
Because we want to converse with our customers. We want them to call us, or we want them to reach out to us on the chat platform as well. So we want that interaction with the customer, that closeness to the customer. And so India plays a very, very important role for our operation, both on the technology side as well as on the contact center side.
Happy to note that. Thank you so much. So, uh, when you talked about technology, so I'm quite keen and to know how you are leveraging technology to help customers take travel decisions and best deals with personalized results, and how do you utilize advanced technologies like analytics and AI to drive personalization or hyper personalization for your customers?
Absolutely, that's a very relevant subject matter to talk about. It's the personalization is very, very important, and it can only be done through technology on a large scale. I mean, the mom and pop shops, they had a handful of customers. They personally were serving them in a very satisfactory manner, but you can't do this with millions of customers all at once. So technology is needed. The mobile platform is probably the most prevalent platform to further develop to create that personalization. The reason why I'm saying is a mobile device, such as a smartphone, is a personal device. And even in a family of 5, we have 5 personal devices. So you have the ability to interact with each individually, personally, through that mobile platform. And that has to happen on a recognition of who the customer is. So we collect a lot of data while customers interact with us, what they're looking for, at what price point, where they're living, where they're traveling to, how much notice do they give us to book a trip, how long are they staying in a destination, et cetera, what other travel products they are booking, such as a hotel, an airport transfer, a car rental in destination, or a tour or an activity or an excursion in a destination, et cetera. So we can start to create personas of customers and lookalike audiences, which we then can serve with relevant content at the right time. For that, we have a data science and data engineering team also in India, in Gurgaon, who is working with machine learning and artificial intelligence to create these personas and these lookalike audiences that we then can address on a fairly personal level. And for us to do it on a one-on-one personal basis, we need probably in the area of about 4,000 data points on an individual to make it completely personal for an individual. But over time, we can collect these data points and use them to serve customers on a very individualized basis. Our vision is to do that, to become the virtual travel agent, not only on the booking phase of a journey of a customer, but also post-booking, pre-departure, in destination, and then post-trip.
That's great. That's great. And it's basically rather everybody is going for hyper personalization, and if you don't do it, you lose out on the race, basically.
Absolutely.
So, would you like to share, Mr. Werner, what are your top 5 business and technology focus areas over the next couple of years?
Well, we just talked about it, and the personalization is a big one. We need to also then, that's number 1. Number 2, then the product portfolio, because we can't just have product that fits all sizes. We need, as we create these addressable audience and lookalike audience in the first phase, we need to adjust our product portfolio, not only from a price point, but also from a content point. So I make the simple analogy of an airline. An airline has the back of the bus, as we say in the industry, the middle of the bus, and the front of the bus. So right now we are much more focusing on the back of the bus. What we need to do is then also concentrate and focus on the middle of the bus and then the front of the bus. So now these lookalike audience who travel in these different cabins they look for different price points. They look for different additional ancillary products, as well as hotels, cars, in activities, in destination, and so on and so forth. So we need to expand our product portfolio to be relevant to these different consumer segments.
Sure, sure.
And that's number two. Number three, we need to expand our chat bot platform and voice bot platform. So the younger generation is so tuned in to talking to chatbots and voice bots that we need to adapt these new technologies to serve these newer or younger customers who interact on these types of platforms. So voice bot, chatbot is very important. And then drive the chatbot technology to a certain degree where we can pretty much handle a chatbot to about 80% of a full transaction or query, and then just have to switch over to a live agent to finish it off. Preferably like to do it at a higher level, but we need to bring this up to about 80 to 90%, both on the chat and on the voice bot.
Yeah, so that the time of human interaction is as shortened as possible, and it reduces the cost. Yeah.
And then also when you look at large volumes, a chatbot or a voice bot can handle a much larger volume concurrently than if you have live agents. So what we want to do with our live agents, that they really can spend quality time with our customers on very complex itineraries where the chatbot is not able to do this at that point. And then number four is the process automation at the back end. All the reporting, which we have already done. MIS, we completely automated. There's no more manual intervention, but we need to do all the auditing. We need to do the auditing on an automated basis. So there are a lot of back office processes that need to be fully automated. So that's another one. And then of course, number five, on the marketing side, we need to further drive our search machine to be more ML and AI driven, particularly when you go into the large search engines like Google, Bing, and some other search engines. We want to be able to have the flexibility through machine learning and AI to adjust our offer in real time. So let's say you come online and you search a certain flight option. We then know that you're not only buying a flight, but we have the intelligence that we know the propensity for you to also buy a hotel or a car rental or an in-destination activity is, let's say, at 95%. We can adjust the initial offering of the air component to a certain degree where we can accommodate your need.
Sure.
So these are the five ones.
That's great. Thank you so much. Werner, do you guys also cater to the APAC market?
Right now, we're not. We are focusing on North America, and that's pretty much the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And we are adding also Latin America, which is South America, which is Central America, Caribbean, and South America. And then in an additional phase, yes, we would like to then expand also to the APAC region. We have entertained the thought about India, but we haven't come to any conclusive result for us to do this, not because the market isn't there, just for us to be able to deliver, because I find it very important that we can be true to our promise to our customers that we serve in the market.
I can see the passion while you're talking. So my last question, any tips you would like to share with our audience or viewers who'd be watching it on demand, how to plan for their future and their career?
Well, the future, we all look at the future in different ways. Nobody has the crystal ball to say what's going to happen, but it's fairly indicative with all the data we have at hand, where it most likely will gravitate to. So I think most important is to plan for the future is to really transform an organization to be ultra flexible, to quickly adjust to volatility. And you never know how long a volatility is lasting. Is it the valley or the peak? When we're on top of the peak, we're all happy and we easily can become complacent and practically annihilate the thought that a valley could ever occur.
Sure.
But before you know it, you land in a valley and then you're at odds. So one has to be very diligent and vigilant to never become complacent, always work on a flexible organization, on a technology stack that is capable of being further developed, because if you acquire a technology debt, there is a point where you can't catch up anymore. And when you enter that point, in my opinion, from a technology perspective, if your technology debt is high, you're actually in a valley. How do you come out of that valley? You constantly have to upgrade your technology stack. You can never be complacent and say, what works now, why change it? I have an opposite philosophy by saying what works now, but may not work for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So we always have to think of tomorrow, what might work tomorrow, and work on that continuously. So that to me is the most important thing for an organization or a business in any region of the world, to work on that flexibility, both on an organizational level and on a technology level.
That's really great, Werner. Great piece of inputs and also great insights that you shared. So I'm almost done. Just wanted to thank you because I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm sure the audience who watch these sessions on demand later on would enjoy the session as much as I did. Okay, so thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you, Anand. It was a pleasure to be with you, and maybe, who knows, sometimes we'll have another opportunity to talk.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we wish you all the very best, a bright future for you as well as Fareportal. So thank you once again. Pleasure was mine, and look forward to a great week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.